Welcome back to our journey through literature.
Last time, we left Prince Hamlet in a pretty intense situation. He'd seen his father's ghost.
Right. The ghost revealed he was murdered by Claudius, Hamlet's uncle, who then, quickly married Hamlet's mother, Gertrude, and took the throne.
A huge shock. And Hamlet swore revenge. But to do that, he decided to put on this antic disposition, basically pretending to be mad.
Yeah, to sort of observe everyone, see what's really going on. And meanwhile, you had Polonius convinced Hamlet was lovesick for his daughter Ophelia, starting his own scheming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the king and queen brought in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, Hamlet's old-school friends, hoping they could figure out why Hamlet was acting so strangely.
But Hamlet, he saw right through them, didn't he? Knew they were spies for Claudius.
Almost immediately.
Mm.
So he decided on a different tactic, using a play to expose the king's guilt. The mousetrap, he calls it.
What a setup indeed. So today we're diving into Hamlet, Act 3. And this act, well, it's arguably the absolute core of the play, the most intense part.
Definitely the pivot point.
We're going to break down how this act completely shifts the play's direction, gives us a much deeper look into these characters who are incredibly complex, and really develops those central themes.
The goal is for you, listening, to get a really solid handle on Act 3 quickly, understanding not just what happens, but why it matters so much.
Okay, let's jump in.
It really is where everything starts to collide, isn't it? Act 3 raises the stakes enormously. The characters, especially Hamlet and Claudius, are pushed right to their limits. They make choices here that change everything.
Absolutely. So let's start with Act 3, Scene 1. This is often called the nunnery scene. And structurally, this feels like the climax of the rising action, wouldn't you say?
I'd agree, it's a major turning point.
So what happens is Claudius and Polonius, they're still stuck on this idea that Hamlet's madness is because Ophelia rejected him. So they set up this, well, it's basically a trap.
A pretty nasty one. They get Ophelia to sort of accidentally run into Hamlet while they hide and watch spying.
Total betrayal of trust right from the start. And then Hamlet enters, seemingly alone, and delivers probably the most famous speech in all of English literature.
To be or not to be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's more than just a speech. It's him wrestling with life, death, suffering, the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
It's huge.
A really profound moment. But right after pouring out his soul like that, Ophelia comes in, according to plan. And his reaction to her, it's shocking.
It really is. He's incredibly harsh, rejects her completely, and tells her repeatedly, "Get thee to a nunnery." It's brutal.
You can feel his disillusionment, can't you? Like this deep cynicism about everything, especially women, probably fueled by his mother's actions.
And Claudius, watching all this, he doesn't buy the love sickness anymore.
Not at all. He sees Hamlet's intensity, that rejection of Ophelia, and concludes Hamlet isn't just disturbed, he's dangerous. A threat.
So he decides, right then, pretty much, to send Hamlet away to England. Get him out of the picture.
But Polonius, ever the schemer, he still thinks he's right about the unrequited love.
He just won't let it go. He suggests another setup. Hamlet talking to his mother, Gertrude, while Polonius hides again to listen in.
It just shows the level of intrigue and deception in this court. But this scene, it definitely pushes Claudius to act decisively against Hamlet. No going back now.
And it's devastating for Hamlet and Ophelia's relationship. That public cruelty, her humiliation,
Yeah.
it's a key factor in what happens to her later.
Let's talk character development here. That to be or not to be soliloquy gives us such insight into Hamlet's mind, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about suicide, though that's part of it. It's about the fear of what comes after death, what dreams may come, that makes us endure suffering rather than risk the unknown. It's that paralysis of thought.
That fear puzzles the will, as he says. It shows his depth, but also maybe why he delays his revenge. He thinks too much.
That's often the interpretation, yes. His intellect is both his strength and perhaps his weakness. And his words to Ophelia, "Get thee to a nunnery." So jarring.
So, for you listening, this is a big question. Is this part of his act? Is he trying to convince Claudius and Polonius he's genuinely mad, maybe even protect Ophelia by pushing her away from the corruption?
Or is it something darker? A real misogyny surfacing, fueled by his anger at Gertrude, his disillusionment spilling over onto all women.
The ambiguity is what makes him so compelling and maybe disturbing. We have to judge, is this real or is it performance? Or maybe a bit of both.
And poor Ophelia, she's just used here, isn't she? A pawn in their game.
Completely. She tries to return his gifts, probably sincerely, and he just rips into her, leaves her utterly heartbroken and confused.
Her little speech afterwards, "Oh, what a noble mind is here o'erthrown," is just heartbreaking. She remembers the Hamlet. He used to be the ideal Renaissance man. The courtiers, soldiers, scholars, eye, tongue, sword.
Yeah, and contrasts it with what she sees now. It emphasizes the tragedy of his change, not just for him, but for those around him.
And Claudius. This scene really cements him as cunning and fearful. Hamlet's behavior convinces him that madness isn't love, it's a direct threat.
His decision to send Hamlet to England shows he's politically sharp, focused on self-preservation. He's not just reacting, he's proactively trying to eliminate a danger.
He's a calculating player in this game.
Let's touch on some key lines and devices. To be or not to be, that is the question. It really is the core of his struggle, right? Suffer or act, live or die.
And it's such deep philosophy packed into one line, but also highlights that paralysis we talked about.
And that metaphor for death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns, it captures that universal fear of the unknown so powerfully.
It really does. It explains why we cling to life, even when it's miserable.
Then the "get thee to a nunnery" line, repeated. Why wouldst thou be a breeder of sinners? It's so harsh.
It's shocking. Is it calculated cruelty for the spies or genuine disgust?
Mm.
That use of provocative imagery forces you, the listener, to really grapple with Hamlet's state of mind.
And Ophelia's lament, listing all his lost virtues. It uses that contrast so effectively to show the depth of the tragedy.
Thematically, this scene is soaked in appearance versus reality. Hamlet's faking madness. Claudius and Polonius are trying to see the reality while being deceptive themselves. Ophelia is being used to create a false situation.
It's layers upon layers of deception, and it directly hits action versus inaction. Hamlet's soliloquy is all about the struggle to act in the face of suffering and fear.
Exactly. And the whole setup, the spying, the manipulation of Ophelia just screams corruption and deception. It paints a picture of a court rotten from within.
You feel that atmosphere of mistrust constantly. Nobody seems capable of a straightforward interaction.
It really shapes everything that happens. Okay, so if scene 1 set the stage for conflict, scene 2 is where the bomb goes off.
Right, Act 3, Scene 2, the play scene. This is it, the climax of the whole play, you could argue.
Unquestionably a major turning point. It starts with Hamlet talking to the traveling actors who've arrived.
And he gives them these really specific acting notes, doesn't he? All about being natural, holding the mirror up to nature. It seems a bit like a detour almost.
But it's not, really. It's crucial. Hamlet's basically outlining his theory of art, of theater. He believes its purpose is to show reality, to expose truth.
So it's not just stage direction, it's a statement about the power of art itself.
Exactly. He sees theater as a tool for justice. It positions him as this intellectual figure, not just a revenger.
That makes sense. Then before the play starts, he pulls Horatio aside, his one true friend.
Yes, and asks him to watch Claudius like a hawk during the performance. This is his carefully laid trap, the mousetrap.
The players then perform the murder of Gonzago, but Hamlet's renamed it the Mousetrap. And it mirrors his father's murder right down to the details. They even do a silent preview, a dumb show.
It's incredibly pointed, and it works perfectly. During the scene where the king in the play is poisoned through the ear,
Claudius completely loses it, jumps up, shouts for lights, and storms out.
his guilt is plain for all to see, or at least for Hamlet and Horatio. It's the proof Hamlet needed. Suspicion becomes certainty.
Game over for Claudius's composure. And right after, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern show up again, trying to probe Hamlet.
Yeah, doing the king's dirty work. And Polonius comes to tell Hamlet his mother wants to see him.
And Hamlet ends the scene with this really dark soliloquy, basically saying now he's ready for revenge, full of resolve.
This scene is the climax because it gives Hamlet that absolute proof. It validates the ghost, solidifies his purpose. There's no questioning Claudius's guilt after this.
It sets up everything that follows. In terms of character, Hamlet's intellect and strategic mind are on full display here.
Definitely. His instructions to the players, his trust in Horatio, that rare moment of connection, it shows different facets of him.
And his reaction after Claudius bolts, that kind of dark celebration. Why, let the strucken deer go weep.
Yeah, it's a release of tension for him, but also a bit chilling, that glee. And his final soliloquy, the witching time of night one, shows him embracing the darkness needed for revenge. He's ready.
Claudius, on the other hand, is just exposed. That cry, "Give me some light, away," is pure panic.
It confirms his crime publicly, in a sense, and forces him to realize Hamlet knows. That pushes Claudius towards getting rid of Hamlet for good.
And Gertrude, her line about the player queen, "The lady doth protest too much, methinks," is interesting. What's your take on that?
It's so suggestive, isn't it? Maybe it reflects her own discomfort with vows of eternal loyalty, given her quick remarriage. Or maybe it's just denial.
But she still doesn't seem to grasp that Claudius is a murderer.
No, she's oblivious to the real reason for his distress, which adds to the irony. And Rosencrantz and Guildenstern just look foolish, trying to manipulate Hamlet.
Especially with that recorder metaphor, Hamlet basically says, "You think you can play me, understand my complexities. Not a chance."
It highlights their shallowness and his intellectual superiority. He sees right through them.
Key quotes here are powerful. Hamlet's advice to the actors about holding the mirror up to nature.
It's that metaphor for art reflecting truth. Almost Shakespeare speaking through Hamlet about his own craft.
Gertrude's, "The lady doth protest too much." It's become proverbial, hasn't it? Suggests defensiveness revealing guilt.
And in her case, it seems uncomfortably close to home. Then Claudius says, "Give me some light, away." The irony is perfect. He wants light, but is running from the truth the play revealed.
Hamlet's recorder speech to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern is just scathing. "Splud, do you think I am easier to be played on than a pipe?" He completely shuts them down.
It's a brilliant, extended metaphor asserting his depth and their superficiality, and that final soliloquy. "'Tis now the very witching time of night."
So dark. Now could I drink hot blood. It shows his shift towards a more violent resolve. He's ready for bitter business.
Thematically, appearance versus reality is huge here. The play within a play uses illusion to shatter Claudius's appearance of innocence and reveal the reality of his crime.
Art exposing truth, which links directly to justice and revenge. Getting the proof fuels Hamlet's drive for vengeance.
And it explicitly explores art as a mirror. The scene argues for a theater's power to reflect morality and provoke conscience. It's a really profound statement about art's function.
Makes you think about the power of stories even today. Okay, from that high point, we go straight into Act 3, Scene 3, the prayer scene.
A very different mood here. Quieter, more internal, but incredibly tense, and full of dramatic irony.
So Claudius, totally shaken by the play, tells Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to get ready to take Hamlet to England, fast.
He wants him gone. Then, alone, Claudius tries to pray.
And he gives this incredible soliloquy. He actually confesses to himself, to God, the murder of his brother.
"Yes, oh, my offense is rank, it smells to heaven, it hath the primal eldest curse upon a brother's murder." He directly references Cain and Abel. He knows the depth of his sin.
But here's the catch. He can't truly repent. Why?
Because he's not willing to give up what he gained from the crown, his ambition, Gertrude. He says, "My stronger guilt defeats my strong intent." He wants forgiveness, but won't pay the price. He's paralyzed.
And just as he's kneeling there, looking like he's praying, wrestling with his soul, Hamlet walks in.
Perfect timing. Hamlet sees him, draws his sword. This is the moment, right?
It seems like it. But Hamlet stops. He thinks, if I kill him now while he's praying, his soul goes to heaven. That's not revenge.
He wants Claudius damned, not saved. So he decides to wait to kill him when he's sinning, drinking, raging, in bed with Gertrude. Something that will ensure damnation.
He puts his sword away. Then Claudius gets up and says that devastating line, "My words fly up, my thoughts remain below. Words without thoughts never to heaven go."
Confirming his prayer was completely ineffective. He couldn't actually repent. The irony is crushing.
Hamlet's missed his chance based on a complete misunderstanding of the situation. A huge miscalculation.
Absolutely fatal. Because this delay, this choice, directly leads to him killing Polonius in the next scene, which kicks off a whole new wave of tragedy. It shows how seeking perfect revenge leads to disaster.
Character-wise, Claudius here is fascinating. We see his tormented conscience under the surface. He's not pure evil, he feels guilt, but his ambition traps him.
It's a rare moment of vulnerability that makes him more complex. And Hamlet, this scene really highlights his tendency to overthink, maybe. Or is it something else?
That desire for total, absolute revenge, including damnation. It's not just about killing Claudius, it's about destroying his soul.
It's incredibly intense and ironic, given Claudius couldn't repent anyway. So Hamlet's motive, while understandable in his grief-stricken state, leads him to make a terrible strategic error. It shows his focus on the afterlife, on spiritual justice, maybe reflecting his own burdens.
The key lines here are so revealing. Claudius says, "Oh, my offense is rank." That imagery of the sins smelling to heaven.
And the primal eldest curse linking his crime to the very first murder. It shows the weight he feels.
His description of being paralyzed, like a man to double business bound, captures that internal conflict perfectly.
Then Hamlet's reasoning. "And so he goes to heaven, and so am I revenged. That would be scanned." It lays bare his logic, his desire for spiritual punishment. It's chilling.
telling his sword, "Up, sword, and know thou a more horrid hent," commanding it to wait for a more damnable moment. The dramatic irony is thick enough to cut with that sword.
And Claudius confirming the futility. Words without thoughts never to heaven go. He knew his prayer was empty.
Thematically, justice and revenge gets really complicated here. Is Hamlet's desire for damnation truly justice or something darker? It pushes the boundaries?
And guilt and conscience are explored through Claudius's inability to repent while clinging to his gains. It asks, what good is remorse without restitution?
And appearance versus reality again. Claudius looks like he's praying, but his thoughts aren't aligned. Hamlet misreads the appearance and misses the reality.
Which leads us straight into the catastrophe of Act 3, Scene 4, the closet scene.
Right. This is the other major climax within Act 3, driven by the consequences of Hamlet's delay and then his impulsive action. Polonius is hiding again, this time behind a tapestry in Gertrude's room, ready to eavesdrop.
Hamlet comes in, intending to confront his mother, to speak daggers to her, as he said, to make her see her own actions.
The conversation gets heated quickly, Gertrude gets scared, cries out for help.
And Polonius, behind the arras, also cries out. Hamlet, hearing a voice, maybe thinking it's Claudius spying.
He just reacts, "How now, a rat!" stabs through the tapestry, and kills Polonius.
Instantly. An impulsive, tragic mistake. This is the peripeteia, the reversal. Killing Polonius changes everything. It unleashes chaos.
After this shocking moment, Hamlet doesn't stop. He turns right back to Gertrude, unleashing all his fury about her marriage, her betrayal of his father. He wants to hold up a mirror to her soul.
Force her to confront the inmost part of her. And then something extraordinary happens. The ghost appears again.
What only Hamlet sees him. Gertrude sees nothing.
Which is crucial. The ghost isn't there to condemn Gertrude, interestingly. It's there to remind Hamlet of his main task, revenge against Claudius, to whet thy almost blunted purpose, and also tells him to be gentler with his mother.
But Gertrude just sees Hamlet talking to empty air. What does she conclude?
That he's completely mad. It confirms her worst fears. Hamlet tries to convince her he's sane, pleads with her to repent, to stay away from Claudius's bed.
He tells her he has to go to England, but also drops that hint about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, about the engineer hoist with his own petard. Shows he's thinking strategically even now.
Yeah, he's anticipating their plot against him. And then he drags Polonius's body away. A grim ending to the scene.
Polonius's death is the turning point that fuels the rest of the play's tragedy, isn't it?
Absolutely. It leads directly to Hamlet's banishment, Ophelia's madness and death, Laertes' return seeking revenge. It's the catalyst for the final catastrophe. It isolates Hamlet completely.
Character-wise, Hamlet is incredibly volatile here. Impulsive violence, then that passionate, brutal verbal assault on his mother.
The ghost appearing only to him emphasizes his isolation, his unique burden. Is he really seeing a ghost, or is it part of his psychological state? Gertrude's inability to see it deepens the tragedy and her belief in his madness.
But we also see his cunning emerge again with that hoist with his own petard line. He's not just reacting anymore, he's planning.
And Gertrude, she is genuinely distressed by Hamlet's words. "O Hamlet, thou hast cleft my heart in twain." She feels the impact. She seems to show some remorse.
But her inability to see the ghost really solidifies her view of his madness. It puts her in an impossible position, caught between son and husband, fearing for Hamlet's sanity.
It highlights her passivity, perhaps, her divided loyalties. And Polonius, his death is almost karmic, isn't it? A direct result of his constant meddling and spying.
A grim lesson about the dangers of deceit in Elsinore. And the ghost's role is interesting, reminding Hamlet of the mission, but urging kindness towards Gertrude.
It adds nuance. It's not just about blind vengeance. There's a call for some measure of compassion, even from a spirit demanding revenge.
The quotes here are unforgettable. Hamlet's, "How now, a rat, dead for a ducat, dead."
That flash of impulsive violence. And his accusation to Gertrude. A bloody deed, almost as bad, good mother, as kill a king and marry with his brother, equating her marriage with the murder itself. So harsh.
His line about setting up a glass for her to see her, in most part, echoes the play scene's purpose forcing self-reflection.
And the comparison between the pictures of his father and Claudius, Hyperion to a satyr, uses such vivid imagery to highlight Claudius's inferiority and Gertrude's, in his view, terrible choice.
Gertrude's reaction, "These words like daggers enter in my ears," shows the real pain his verbal attack inflicts. That simile is powerful.
The ghost reminding Hamlet to whet thy almost blunted purpose underscores his delay, but also the fact Gertrude can't see it emphasizes her belief in his madness. Great dramatic irony.
Hamlet's justification, "I must be cruel only to be kind," that paradox, trying to frame his harshness as ultimately helpful for her soul.
It's a complex rationalization. And that hoist with his own petard line, foreshadowing doom for Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, showing Hamlet's now playing their game and planning to win.
Thematically, revenge and justice gets incredibly messy. The accidental killing of Polonius shows the terrible collateral damage revenge can cause. Is justice achieved if the innocent die?
It raises huge ethical questions. Guilt and corruption are explored through Gertrude's confrontation with her choices. We see her distress, the impact of her actions.
And madness and sanity becomes critical. Gertrude's conviction about Hamlet's madness, based on the invisible ghost, isolates him further and gives Claudius the perfect excuse to get rid of him.
It turns his feigned madness against him.
Mm-hmm.
And appearance versus reality runs through it all. The invisible ghost, Hamlet claiming sanity while acting wildly, Polonius hidden.
Yeah.
It's all about what's seen versus what's real.
Okay, so let's sum up Act 3. It absolutely transforms the play. We start with Hamlet's internal struggle. We get definitive proof of Claudius's guilt.
And it ends with Hamlet having committed a murder himself, albeit accidentally, killing Polonius.
The whole act functions as the climax, really. The play within a play confirms the guilt, setting Hamlet firmly on the path of revenge. The core conflict is exposed.
But it's Hamlet's specific choices, not killing Claudius at prayer, and then impulsively killing Polonius, that really pivot the action. They shift it from a planned revenge story into a tragedy of errors and escalating consequences.
His antic disposition also intensifies, shattering his relationships with Ophelia and Gertrude. By the end of the act, the battle lines are drawn, blood has been spilled, and the stage is set for the final tragic unraveling.
Elsinore is a pressure cooker now, ready to explode. So, looking ahead to Act 4, Polonius is dead. Claudius knows Hamlet knows. What happens next?
What are the immediate consequences of killing Polonius? How will it affect Hamlet, Gertrude, Ophelia, and especially Laertes, Polonius' son?
The shockwaves from Act 3 are just starting. We can expect things to get even darker and more dangerous as we move into Act 4.
Thank you for joining us on this literary journey. If you're nodding along, help other curious minds discover these conversations too. Press like and subscribe.